Imagine going to the doctor for a regular checkup, expecting everything to be normal. But then, the doctor finds something unusual inside you. X-rays, which have been used for over 100 years, when the radiation passes through the body, shows more than just broken bones and fractures. Sometimes, it reveals the unexpected, a hidden treasure, a forgotten trinket, or a mysterious object that has been quietly sitting inside someone's body for years. What could be the most shocking thing an X-ray unveils inside a person's body? Join us as we uncover 15 of the strangest things discovered by X-rays. Number 15. Cell phone and batteries. In Kosovo's capital, Pristina, a 33-year-old man ended up in the hospital with serious pain. Doctors discovered something astonishing during an X-ray. He had swallowed a Nokia 3310 phone, which had gotten stuck in his stomach. Fortunately, the phone had broken into 3 pieces under the pressure, which meant surgery wasn't as complicated as it could have been. However, there was a dangerous issue. The battery had detached and was floating around inside his stomach, posing a chemical hazard. The medical team acted swiftly to remove both the battery and the remaining parts of the phone. The doctor who led the team shared incredible photos on social media. These included images of the extracted phone, along with X-rays and endoscope views that clearly showed the foreign object lodged in the man's body. Despite being inside a stomach, the phone was surprisingly intact, looking almost as if it had just been dropped a few times. In another case in Ireland, doctors have accomplished an amazing task by removing an astonishing 55 batteries from a woman's stomach and intestines. The patient had been experiencing intense stomach pain and vomiting, prompting her to seek urgent medical assistance. However, what doctors found on an X-ray was startling. Many batteries stuck in her digestive system. Acting quickly, the medical team performed a 3-hour surgery to take out all 55 batteries. However, the aftermath showed serious harm caused by these power sources. The batteries had significantly damaged the woman's stomach and intestines, possibly resulting in dangerous issues like infection, tears, and internal bleeding. Number 14. Scissors and surgical tools. Laughter is often considered the best medicine, but for one man in China, it turned into a nightmare. Lin Kong, a 27-year-old, was out enjoying a meal with friends when he decided to use nail scissors as a toothpick. While trying to clean his teeth with the 4-inch scissors, one of his friends cracked a joke. Lin laughed so hard that he accidentally swallowed the scissors. As Lin tried to cough them up, the points of the scissors got lodged deeper into his throat, causing severe pain. When he arrived at the hospital, Lin was in terrible shape. His face was deformed with pain. He was pale and sweating, and he could barely swallow. The doctors at a hospital in eastern China knew they had to act quickly. X-rays revealed that the scissors had completely entered Lin's esophagus, with the sharp points sticking into his epiglottis. Dr. Chen and his team decided to operate under local anesthesia because general anesthesia might have relaxed Lin's muscles too much, potentially causing the scissors to slip further down. The medical team skillfully removed the scissors in a procedure that took about 30 minutes. Thankfully, they were able to extract the scissors without causing further injury. According to Dr. Chen, Lin was left with only minimal internal scarring, making it a successful operation despite the bizarre circumstances. In another incident, surgical scissors were mistakenly left inside a woman after her operation, a shocking discovery made months later. Pat Skinner, aged 69, underwent surgery on May 2001 at St. George Hospital in Sydney to remove part of her colon. Despite the procedure, her pain persisted, prompting her to demand an abdominal X-ray. To her surprise, the scan revealed a pair of 6.7-inch scissors inside her. The hospital acted swiftly to remove them on October 2002, but the damage was done. Pat endured months of unnecessary suffering, describing the experience as a nightmare filled with trauma and pain. The hospital apologized, citing human error for the mistake. Although no disciplinary action was taken against the surgeon or the other staff involved, Pat sought justice through legal means, determined to prevent such an ordeal from happening to anyone else. A woman in Montreal who had surgery for ovarian cancer ended up with an unexpected situation. A huge metal plate was left inside her body by mistake. Sylvie Dube, the woman affected, felt something was wrong right after the operation when she woke up with intense shoulder pain, describing it as feeling like she'd been stabbed. Despite her complaints, doctors thought it was just normal pain from surgery. It wasn't until an X-ray was done that they discovered a massive plate inside her. An investigation by the hospital found that the plate had been mistakenly left inside, despite the surgical instruments count being checked. Similarly, in northeast Vietnam, a man named Mavanat visited Thai Nguyen Hospital after a car accident, only to discover a strange object lodged in his abdomen. An X-ray revealed it was a pair of surgical forceps that had been inside him for 18 years, rusting away. Interestingly, he had been operated on in the same hospital in 1998 following the accident. Since then, he had experienced mild but persistent pain, diagnosed initially as an ulcer by a local clinic, for which he had been taking pain relief medication all these years. Little did he know, he had been harboring these forceps in his body all along. The medical team at Thai Nguyen Hospital successfully removed the 15-centimeter-long instrument with assistance from colleagues in Hanoi. Mavanat was greatly relieved to have the object finally out of his system. Number 13. Bobby pin inside a boy's kidney. As a child, your curiosity is like a superpower, leading you to explore everything within reach. You might touch things, put objects in your mouth, and sometimes even try to swallow them. In a fascinating case described in BMJ case reports, a 4-year-old in Saudi Arabia took his curiosity to extremes by swallowing a hairpin. This innocent exploration turned into a strange journey through his body, ending with the pin piercing his kidney. Over 3 months, the child complained to his parents about sharp pains in his upper right belly, along with fever and chills. Initially diagnosed with a urinary tract infection, UTI, and treated with medicines that kill bacteria, his symptoms continued. It wasn't until an X-ray at another hospital revealed the real cause, a bobby pin lodged in his abdomen. When taken to KAMC-JD in Jeddah, a special X-ray showed the pin's exact place, in his right kidney. Surprisingly, he had swallowed the pin a month before feeling sick, showing it had moved through his stomach system before getting stuck in the duodenum, the start of the small intestine, and piercing the kidney. The pin had become rusty and sharp because of the body's digestive fluids. After an operation to take out the pin, the child got better completely without problems. Looking back on the event, the doctor noted that such holes usually get better on their own because they are so small. Number 12. Can in rectum. When it comes to storing cans, most people think of creative places, but one person took it to a whole new level, or rather a whole new part of their body. A middle-aged patient started their day like any other, only to end up in the emergency room with severe stomach pain that wouldn't go away. The medical team quickly jumped into action and ordered an X-ray to find out what was causing the pain. What they found was astonishing. A can was stuck inside the patient's abdomen. The doctors were puzzled. There were no signs of a blockage, just a foreign object sitting in the digestive system. 12 hours later, the patient was rushed into emergency surgery. The medical team was prepared for anything as they faced this unexpected challenge. The shocking truth became clear. The can was lodged deep in the intestines, causing significant damage and posing a serious threat to the patient's health. With great care and expertise, the surgical team worked to remove the can from its dangerous position. It was a tense and delicate procedure, but they managed to extract the can without causing further harm. The patient narrowly escaped a long and painful recovery, avoiding severe complications and setbacks. Number 11. Cutlery in the stomach. Imagine having a stomach ache, only to find out it's because you've been eating cutlery. This is exactly what happened to Margaret Dolman, a 52-year-old secretary from the Netherlands. Somehow, Margaret's stomach became a storage place for forks and spoons. When she went to the hospital, doctors were shocked to see an X-ray showing 78 different pieces of cutlery inside her stomach. It looked like she had a fork and spoon buffet going on in there. Surgeons had to quickly remove each piece one by one. Margaret had a strange habit of eating cutlery. Every time she sat down for a meal, she would skip the food and go straight for the silverware instead. This strange craving is part of a disorder called pica, where people eat non-food items or odd food combinations. Margaret admitted she felt an uncontrollable urge to eat cutlery. This wasn't her first trip to the hospital for this issue. Margaret had a history of eating cutlery and had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Interestingly, she never ate knives and couldn't explain why. After the surgery, she made a full recovery and started therapy to address the underlying problems that led to her odd behavior. In a similar case in India, doctors had to perform surgery to remove an astounding 63 spoons from a man's stomach. The patient, Yogesh, had been suffering from severe stomach pain for months. Initially, doctors suspected a tumor, but an X-ray revealed the unexpected culprit: numerous spoons lodged in his stomach. It turns out Yogesh had developed a habit of swallowing not just spoons, but also other non-food items like nails and screwdrivers. This unusual practice had caused significant internal damage, including ulcers and bleeding in his stomach. There was even a risk that the spoons could puncture his intestines, which was quite alarming. Fortunately, the surgical procedure was successful, and Yogesh is now recovering well. Number 10. Nail in the head. Dante Otulo, a 32-year-old from Illinois, was working on building a shed in his backyard when something unbelievable happened. While holding a nail gun above his head, he suddenly felt a sharp pain. He thought a nail had just grazed his scalp, but he couldn't have been more wrong. His partner, Gail Glanzer, helped clean the wound, and they both thought it was just a minor injury. The next day, however, Dante started feeling dizzy and unwell. Sensing something was seriously wrong, Gail took him to the hospital. An X-ray of Dante's brain revealed a 3¼ inch nail lodged inside. Realizing the severity, doctors immediately arranged for Dante to be transferred to a specialized brain injury hospital. He underwent surgery to remove the nail, which was successful. Part of his skull had to be replaced with titanium mesh. When Dante saw the X-ray, he couldn't believe it. The doctor assured him it was no joke and showed him the nail in his head. Neurosurgeons explained that his skull had miraculously stopped the nail from penetrating further and causing fatal damage. Even after such a harrowing experience, Dante kept his sense of humor. Gail called him a medical miracle, amazed at his resilience and humor. Number 9. Light bulb in an anus. A 53-year-old man walked into a Colombian hospital, his face flushed red with embarrassment. He was suffering from persistent pain in his rear end, but was too embarrassed to tell the doctors what was going on. What he didn't know was that he was about to shock the medical team beyond belief. During a physical exam, the doctors didn't find anything unusual. However, an X-ray revealed something astonishing. A large light bulb was lodged in his anus. This discovery left the medical staff in awe. Further examination showed that the situation was more complicated than they first thought. The doctors warned that if things become difficult, they might have to perform surgery in the operating room, with the patient under anesthesia and his muscles completely relaxed. The doctors also explained that if the object got stuck, it could create a vacuum effect. This meant that trying to pull it out might push it further in, causing even more damage. It's unclear how the light bulb was removed or if the man suffered any long-term harm. However, one thing is certain: he was fortunate it didn't break. The doctors described the procedure as delicate and miraculous, comparing it to defusing a bomb. Number 8. Knives in the stomach. A group of experienced doctors gathered around an operating table, their faces filled with worry. Before them lay a 40-year-old man with a strange secret. For the past 2 months, he had been swallowing knives. Dr. Gender Malhotra, the main doctor, described the situation as shocking and frightening. The man's unusual habit of eating metal puzzled the medical team, even those who had seen almost everything in their careers. As they prepared for the 5-hour surgery, the tension in the room was obvious. One wrong move could have cost the patient his life. Dr. Malhotra, who had more than 20 years of experience, had never encountered anything like this. After 2 days of careful planning, the surgery began. The team carefully removed 49 knives from the man's stomach, some folded, some open, and others rusted and broken. Dr. Malhotra suspected a rare mental disorder, possibly one never documented in medical literature. The surgery took place in Amritsar, a holy city in northern India. Once the operation was over, the patient's family could finally breathe a sigh of relief, knowing he was on the road to recovery. In another incident in Mandi, India, doctors were shocked when they found a hidden treasure in a patient's stomach. But it wasn't gold or jewels. It was a bizarre collection of items you'd expect to find in a toolbox. This patient had swallowed 7 spoons, 2 toothbrushes, 2 small screwdrivers, a knife, and a small rod. The man's family rushed him to the hospital after he complained of intense stomach pain. The doctors were in for a big surprise when an X-ray revealed a stash of objects just hanging out in his gut. Grim images showed these items, still covered in bits of food, giving a whole new twist to the phrase, food for thought. Dr. Suraj Bhardwaj, who performed the surgery, mentioned that the tip of the knife was even poking out from the man's stomach. As they carefully removed the objects, they found more than they could have ever imagined. The entire surgery took 4 hours, leaving the doctors astounded by this strange discovery. Luckily, the patient is now stable. Number 7. Bottle and steel cup in abdomen. In a strange and unbelievable event in Fuzhou, China, a man found himself in a situation that was both painful and confusing, leaving doctors completely shocked. It all started when the man went to the hospital because of severe stomach pain. He had no idea what was causing his suffering. To everyone's surprise, X-rays showed that a bottle was sitting inside his abdomen. No one knew how the bottle got there at first, but soon the man revealed his bold and risky attempt to remove it himself. He admitted that he had put the bottle inside his body. Things went from bad to worse when he tried to pull it out using a hooked wire, which also got stuck. With no other options, the doctors had to perform surgery. Putting on their surgical gear, they prepared for the hard job of taking out the bottle and the wire from the man's stomach. They were upset to find that his stomach had been pierced in several places by the wire during his failed attempt. In a strange incident in Satna district, Madhya Pradesh, doctors had to perform surgery to remove a small metal cup from an elderly man's bottom. According to media reports, the man, a poor farmer in his 60s, had been suffering from severe back pain. He was urgently taken to a private hospital where, after a tube examination and an X-ray, doctors were surprised to find an unexpected blockage in his digestive system. Upon further investigation, it was found that the man had been misled by unreliable medical advice. Allegedly, unqualified individuals had convinced him that putting a metal cup into his bottom would ease his stomach discomfort. Surprisingly, the man agreed to this strange treatment and underwent the procedure while calmed. Number 6. Spoon in the throat. It's always uncomfortable when something gets stuck in your throat. Even a small piece of popcorn can cause distress. However, imagine a man who accidentally swallowed a spoon as a result of a dare from his friends. He didn't think much of it at the time, but a year later, a sudden punch to his chest made him realize something was wrong. Gasping for air, he rushed to the emergency room, thinking the punch had caused his breathing problems. But the X-ray revealed a shocking truth. The spoon he had swallowed a year ago was still stuck in his throat. It posed a grave risk to his life due to potential infections and blockages. Doctors acted swiftly, performing emergency surgery to remove the spoon, which was covered in mucus and posed serious health threats. Their quick intervention saved his life, although the incident left a lasting impact. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. In a small-town hospital, Dr. Emily, a young doctor specializing in medical imaging, examined Mr. Jenkins, an older man complaining of constant chest pain. As the X-ray pictures appeared on her screen, something strange caught her attention. A small, detailed object located near Mr. Jenkins' heart. Confused, Dr. Emily discussed with Dr. Patel, a senior heart specialist. Together, they scrutinized the X-rays, discovering what seemed to be a tiny metal pill. Its presence was puzzling. Rumors spread through the hospital. The mystery deepened as they explored Mr. Jenkins's medical records, finding no mention of such a device or procedure. After careful thought, the team chose to surgically take out the pill. Inside, they found a tightly rolled piece of paper, a note, possibly left by an earlier surgeon, explaining an innovative method for heart surgery. The finding not only amazed the medical staff, but also sparked new research and advancements in heart care. What are your thoughts on Mr. Jenkins' heart condition? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Number 5. Grenade. Most soldiers are usually careful when planning attacks. However, there was a Ukrainian soldier who had an unusual idea. He decided to swallow a hand grenade to become a human bomb. An X-ray report showed a grenade in his stomach. Luckily, he missed an important detail. Once the grenade is inside you, there's no way to pull the pin. Ukrainian military doctors faced a tense situation as they performed a bold operation to remove the live grenade from the soldier's chest. Leading the operation was Andrei Verba, one of Ukraine's top surgeons from the armed forces, supported by experts in explosives and combat engineering. Their role wasn't just to help, but also to ensure the safety of the medical team during the risky procedure. The medical team had to act quickly and think creatively to prevent the grenade from exploding. They couldn't use standard methods like burning, which might have caused an explosion. Instead, they relied on their precision and knowledge to carefully remove the grenade from beneath the soldier's heart. Thanks to their skilled handling of the situation, they successfully took out the grenade without any problems. After the surgery, the 28-year-old soldier fully recovered, much to the relief of both the medical team and his fellow soldiers. Number 4. Stolen jewels and engagement ring. In the world of crime and surprising discoveries, Joseph Bravo Ramos's tale stands out. It all started when Ramos was caught driving a stolen car connected to a robbery in the Safety Harbor neighborhood. Little did the authorities know, they were in for an extraordinary surprise. During the routine X-ray scan before his transfer to Pinellas County Jail, fate took a remarkable twist. Sheriff Bob was dumbfounded when he saw it himself. Just when he thought he'd seen everything, this was entirely new. The 12-year-old suspect had ingeniously hidden his loot. He had swallowed 2 gold necklaces. Now that's what you call a creative hiding spot. However, the situation quickly turned serious as the jewelry posed health risks. Doctors had to intervene surgically to remove the precious items from his stomach. X-rays clearly showed the necklaces, bunched up and ready for extraction. Interestingly, Pinellas and Sarasota County jails had state-of-the-art X-ray scanners to detect contraband-like weapons and drugs, but no one anticipated discovering jewelry inside a suspect's stomach. It was a first in criminal innovation. Nevertheless, it was an expensive use of X-ray scans as the suspect ended up in jail without his newfound accessories, facing additional charges. The stolen jewelry was returned to its rightful owner, but the question remains whether she'll want it back. Jenna Evans, a bride-to-be from California, had a wild dream one night. She dreamed she swallowed her engagement ring to hide it from some shady characters. When she woke up, she discovered to her horror that she had swallowed the ring for real. With her heart pounding and her stomach in knots, Jenna and her fiancé Bobby Howell rushed to the emergency room. Jenna could hardly explain what happened, torn between laughter and tears. The doctor quickly took an X-ray, and sure enough, there was the ring, sitting in Jenna's stomach. Rather than waiting for the ring to pass naturally, the doctor decided to perform an upper endoscopy. This procedure involves using a thin tube with a light and camera to look inside the upper part of the digestive system. Fortunately, the doctors managed to retrieve the ring from Jenna's intestines. Bobby was incredibly relieved to have the ring back, and Jenna vowed never to swallow it again. Number 3. Steel marbles and magnets. Haley Lentz, an inquisitive and playful 8-year-old, recently had a frightening experience. One day, while happily playing with her magnetic building blocks, she accidentally swallowed some of the small magnetic pieces that fell out. Unaware of the danger, her parents, busy with their tasks, didn't notice what had occurred. The next day, Haley was in pain, and her worried parents rushed her to the hospital. When doctors examined her X-rays, they were astonished to find that she had swallowed 20 steel marbles and 10 magnets, which caused 8 tears in her intestines. Despite the seriousness of her condition, Haley showed great strength and resilience. The medical team acted swiftly, performing a precise and delicate surgery to remove all the dangerous objects from her body. Miraculously, Haley survived the ordeal. After 2 weeks of intensive care, she was finally able to leave the hospital, bringing immense joy to her family. However, they were not content to simply move on. They took action against the manufacturer, Mega Brands, demanding that they recall their magnetic toys to ensure the safety of other children. Mega Brands responded by recalling 4 million of these toys. Haley's family breathed a sigh of relief to have her back home safe and sound. Number 2. Dumbbell. Imagine walking into the emergency room with a hidden problem so embarrassing that you can't bring yourself to tell the doctor what's happening. This was the case for a 54-year-old man from Brazil who arrived complaining of vague symptoms like abdominal pain, cramps, nausea, vomiting, and constipation that had been troubling him for 2 days. However, what he kept silent about was the fact that a 20-centimeter-long, 2-kilogram dumbbell was lodged in his rectum. The doctors acted promptly, conducting a thorough medical examination and taking X-rays. It was during this investigation that they discovered the dumbbell stuck where the colon meets the rectum. Eventually, the man admitted to the bizarre mishap, confessing that he had inserted the dumbbell himself and failed in his attempts to remove it. After deciding surgery was necessary, the medical team administered anesthesia. The surgeon initially tried to extract the dumbbell using tweezers, but found it was positioned too deeply. They then faced the daunting task of manually inserting their arm into the man's rectum to retrieve the weight. Following the surgery, the man spent 4 hours recovering before being transferred to the general surgery ward for 3 days. He was discharged on the 4th day. Researchers compiling the case report expressed surprise, noting that such incidents are more common than previously thought, especially among men aged 20 to 40 who engage in such activities for self-pleasure. Number 1. Fish and plant in the lungs. We usually think of fish as something we eat, but in Anil Bella's case, the situation was reversed shockingly. Instead of eating a fish, he had one living inside him. The 12-year-old boy arrived at the hospital struggling to breathe. When doctors took an X-ray, they found something astonishing. A live fish was stuck in his lung. This fish was causing Anil serious trouble, making it very hard for him to breathe. The doctors quickly prepared for surgery, which took 45 minutes to carefully remove the fish from his lung. It turned out that Anil and his friends had been playing a dangerous game by the river in the Chambal region of Madhya Pradesh state, India. They were swallowing live fish as a dare. Although they had done this before without problems, this time, the fish went down the wrong way. Instead of going into Anil's stomach, the fish swam into his lungs through his windpipe. Fortunately, Anil recovered fully, but his strange and scary experience continues to reoccur in his mind as he will always share the story at every available opportunity. Imagine going to the doctor because of a persistent cough and chest pain, only to discover a pea plant growing in your lung. This unusual situation happened to a 75-year-old man who had been a smoker for many years. Initially, doctors thought it was cancer, but an X-ray revealed it was a tiny plant. This surprised the medical community. The patient was referred to a respiratory specialist who conducted a series of tests to understand what was happening. It turned out that the man had accidentally inhaled a pea seed, and somehow it had managed to germinate inside his lung. The plant had grown to half an inch in length, causing the man's cough and chest pain. Fortunately, the respiratory specialist successfully removed the plant, and the man is expected to fully recover. Which of these strangest things discovered by X-ray do you find interesting? Let us know your answer in the comments section.